Good evening. I'm Sean Roman, pinch hitting for Nisa Petrilli.
I'm Jay Kaplan.
I'm Steve Ferguson.
And I'm Anthony Strait.
And this is On the Sports Lines for June 9th, 2016. The beginning of June brings us the hunt for championships in several sports. We're going to break down the finals in the NBA and the NHL. We'll tell you what to watch for in both the Euro 2016 and Copa America Centenario, those soccer tournaments, and who to watch for at golf's U.S. Open. We'll also remember the man who floated like a butterfly and stung like a bee, the great Muhammad Ali. As always, we would absolutely love to hear from you, so please email us at fanspeak@onthesportslines.com, send your tweets to @onthesportslines, and your posts to facebook.com/onthesportslines. The NBA Finals are 2-1 in favor of Golden State after Cleveland came back and got into the series. Game 4 is Friday, June 10th. And we're going to tell you what the Warriors need to do to keep their title and what the Cavaliers need to do to take it from them. So we're going to do it our lightning round style. One analyst, one question, single answer. Steve, will you fill in the blank? The Warriors will repeat as NBA champs
if they continue to force turnovers as they did in Game 2. If you saw Game 2, LeBron James alone had 8 turnovers. So if you look at how poorly they played and how Golden State just took advantage of them in every way possible, cut the passing lanes, double teamed, got all sorts of steals. And if they don't play aggressively, the Cavs, as they did in Game 3, the same thing may happen to them again.
All right, Anthony, the Cavaliers, who are coming back into the series strong, they will win if
they continue to get any kind of support from anyone other than LeBron James. Kyrie Irving in particular, the Cavs were minus 36 in the first 2 games of the series with him on the court. Game 3 last night, he stepped up 30 points, scored 17 in the first quarter, finally able to get something going. Tristan Thompson actually played at the Tristan Thompson of last year's finals.
Yes.
Also, J.R. Smith decided to not be gun-shy. He only had 9 shots in the first 2 games. He scored 20 points last night. The problem with
beautiful fall-away shot for him.
By the way, the problem with Cleveland right now is they're not getting enough production from their bench. They only have 5 before garbage time kicked in. They need to get more out of their bench, and they also have to be more consistent with the supporting cast. LeBron couldn't beat the Warriors last year by himself. He's not going to do it this year if he doesn't get any help.
All right, Jay, well, fill in the blank for us. The NBA Finals will be decided by
the Golden State Warriors bench. This is one area where the Warriors have a decided advantage over the Cavs. Their bench is deeper, and that depth is quality depth. And let's face it, the way Curry and Thompson have struggled so far in this series, averaging only 28 points on 40% shooting. After 53 points and 46% shooting in the previous 3 rounds, the Warriors need their bench to keep stepping it up and doing it big time if they're going to repeat as champs. Now, it started in Game 1 with the Warriors' second unit putting up 45 points, so the Cavs' bench is 10. Sean Livingston dropped 20 off the bench for the Dubs. Overall, the Warriors' bench has outscored the Cavaliers' bench 118-57. That is a plus 61 margin. They're averaging 39 points a game. They've accounted for 39% of the Warriors' offense. Now, those numbers obviously are a little bit skewed because we've had back-to-back ridiculous blowouts, so the bench players have gotten a little more than their usual rotational time, but they're still telling. Now, we all know the Warriors are glad that their bench can carry their starters, but while a productive bench is a nice weapon to have, I think they'd prefer to not have their bench outscoring the Splash Brothers combined, as has been the case through the first 3 games.
By the way, 48 points for Steph Curry in the first 3 games. That's the all-time low for an MVP in the finals.
That is correct.
All right, guys, let's move on to hockey right now. The Stanley Cup Finals are 3-1 in favor of Pittsburgh. Game 5 is happening as we come to you tonight. We're going to tell you why the Penguins and the Sharks are where they are in the series. And we're going to do it lightning round style. One analyst, one question, one answer. Anthony, fill in the blank. Why are the Penguins up 3-1?
Stellar player, goalie Matt Murray by far. I mean, he has more regular season starts than he has playoff starts, actually. Actually, the other way around, more postseason starts than regular season starts. He outplayed Henry Lundqvist, Braden Holtby, and Ben Bishop in consecutive rounds to get to the finals.
Yeah.
San Jose Sharks had not had a lead at all. This is the time of lead in the series. Zero. Not including the overtime goal that won Game 3 for them. But you look at his save percentage, he's 14-5 in the playoffs. One more, he'll tie Patrick Wall's rookie record for postseason wins, set in 1986. 92% save percentage, only allowing barely 2 goals. He's 5-0 after a loss. So for a young kid, he has really stepped up. And we forget Marc-Andre Fleury is a gold medalist. He's sitting on the bench right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Steve, fill in the blank. The Sharks are down 3-1 because
Joe Pavelski has not scored one goal, not one, in the entire championship round. And this man scored 41 goals in the regular season, 79 points, third leading scorer in the NHL. And you guys certainly know who I'm referring to when I think of this guy. I'm thinking of Rick Nash, remember 2 years ago, who scored virtually no goals. If San Jose hopes to even have a chance to win tonight, he's got to at least have an assist. This is ridiculous that he hasn't even scored a goal, much less have an assist.
Really? And I thought the reason the Sharks were down 3-1 is because Joe Thornton's beard is getting in the way of his skates. Have you seen the length of that
Yes,
thing?
I have. That is unbelievable.
He's a gnome at this point.
All right, it's Jay's
Pretty
turn.
much.
Jay, fill in the blank. The Penguins will close out the series if
Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin are major factors. There you go. Neither of the Pens' 2 best players have been offensive juggernauts in this series, and granted, with a lineup featuring 16 different goal scorers, they haven't had to be, especially with the emergence of the HBK line, Carl Hagelin, Nick Bonino, and Phil Kessel. But when you're in a closeout game in the Stanley Cup Finals, you want your stars playing like stars. Now, Malkin entered the last game without any points in the final before setting up the first goal, where he drilled a pass through 3 Sharks to Kessel, who banged one off the goaltender, and Bonino and Ian Cole banged it through for the score. Then he later tallied the first power play goal the Penguins got in this series. That's the type of factor he needs to be. Now, the Penguins have started every single game fast. They've been very aggressive out of the gate. They've scored the first time. They've scored first in every game in the series, not just at home. Crosby's been a big part of that, despite only tallying 2 assists. He's not going to finish the playoffs as the NHL's leading scorer, but he's protected the puck, contested every inch of ice during his shifts. He can smell this championship, and you get the feeling that he's going to put his stamp on this series, so that at the end of the last game, he'll be the one holding the cup afterwards.
I'm seeing the Penguins really just were the team this year who hit their stride at the right time. The only one really with a good chance to beat them would have been the Rangers, because Malkin was hurt that series and recovering a lot. And then the Rangers just fell off the face of the earth in those last 2 games. And the Rangers were the hottest team right before the Penguins were, but they just petered out.
But the Penguins' speed just created so many bad matchups for their opponents. It was no way the Rangers were going to catch them. Tampa Bay, you know what? They just didn't have enough offense with all the injuries. You know, the Penguins just, lightning in the bottle. No pun intended.
3 deep lines and a good goaltender is all you need.
We got to move on to soccer, one of my favorite sports to keep track of. There are 2 champions happening in June 2016. The Euro starts on June 10th. The Copa America Centenario, the 100th edition, for you fans of English, of this tournament, is being hosted by the United States for the first time and is underway. It's pretty exciting. Anthony, what should we be watching for as the premier tournament this year, the Euros, get underway?
I would be looking for the 2-time defending champion Spain, looking for a 3-peat. They're in Group D. Look at the group they're in: Czech Republic, Turkey, Croatia. There's no reason now they shouldn't get out of that group. Then you look, if they get out of the group, the path to get back is possibly England, Portugal, might be matchups down the line. Looking at it right now, they're kind of going in. They're like in
they're coming off a very disappointing World Cup.
The World Cup, definitely.
I mean, that broke the golden age of what you would call Spanish soccer.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
In the Euro, I would be looking for Sweden. They
Really?
have probably
Sweden,
the third best player, Ibrahimovic. If you've ever seen him play, he was acquired by Paris in 2012, and in the French league, he's led them to 4 straight titles in their own league.
Wow.
And think of like Sweden as a very good team in terms of group play, what you know from hockey. Henrik Lundqvist never won a Stanley Cup, but
No.
he does have a gold medal.
Yes.
Ibrahimovic may have his premier tournament win in this particular Euro right here.
Interesting.
Probably third best player next to
All right, so Sean, I have to ask you, who do you see has the favorites coming out of this tournament?
the favorites.
Yes.
I think, like I just said, the golden age of Spanish soccer. I think we might be heading into the golden age of German soccer. Considering their dominant performance in the World Cup, I think that they're going to hold true to that specific infrastructure and really dominate the league, and it's going to be between them.
They have the best goaltender in the world who is redefining the position every match.
Wow.
And Yogi, their coach,
That's all you need is a hot
has
goaltender.
been building up this national team to gel at this particular moment. So I think they're the team to beat.
There you go.
But we have to move on, unfortunately. I would love to talk about the Euro
You
for
could
another
all
10
day.
minutes.
Yes, he
absolutely.
definitely could.
Steve, let's move on to the Americas, the one in the United States. Who's your favorite to win in the USA?
You know, everybody assumes it would be Argentina. They've been the hottest team, and they've really been the favorite. But the team I think to really watch for is Mexico. This team is coming in about as hot as the Penguins came into the championship round. They've won 8 straight games, unbeaten in the last 19 games. And also, they've won a lot of the friendly games as well. And as the tournament's gone on, they've gotten better and better. And I think when a team comes in as hot as they are, watch out. At Argentina, that includes you. I think they have to watch for them also.
On the other end of things, I am disappointed because I always look to see how Uruguay plays. And their team, 2 World Cup victories very early on in the series. For such a small country, such a small population, they've historically done very well. And in the last number of years, they've been led by Luis Suarez, who's taken them as far as they could go. And he has a hamstring injury, so they're without him. And so they lost their first game to Mexico, and they're also losing against Venezuela. So they're not doing as well as they should be if they had Suarez.
That's
So
right.
let's move on to Jay. Jay, what's at stake for the United States in this Copa America?
Honestly, I think it's Jurgen Klinsmann's future and job security.
Wow.
Granted, his winning percentage of .703 is better than 677 notched by his predecessor Bob Bradley. They've been in competitive matches, and we won't talk about friendlies. But consistency has been a struggle for Team USA. They've won it against Mexico, they've won against Germany, but they've lost to teams like Guatemala. So they've been able to produce. They have not been able to produce the attacking style that Klinsmann is famous for and wanted to get in. Their goals are up, their shots are down. They have a very slim margin of victory every match they play. The win over Costa Rica was a great example of the style that Klinsmann wants, attacking from minute 1 to minute 90. Dempsey's goal was great. They never took their foot off the gas, but games like these need to be the exception more than the rule if Klinsmann's going to stick around past the World Cup.
All I say about Klinsmann, judge him by his performance in the big tournaments. In the World Cup, he got him out of the group of death.
Yes, he did.
It's best to be at your worst the year after the World Cup, and I think he's going to get him out of the group stage right here in the Copa America, so judge him when the ink is dry this year.
We'll see.
All right. The 116th edition of golf's United States Open Championship tees off on June 16th. And for the 9th time, it will be played at Oakmont Country Club in Pennsylvania. Oakmont is considered one of the 3 toughest courses in the entire world, and it would be an absolute challenge for even the top players on the tour. So, Anthony, which golfer out there has the best chance of conquering this challenging course?
We got to go back to the 2015 U.S. Open champion, Jordan Spieth, who I think we all know is really trying to put that Masters, the disaster at the Masters behind him. He rebounded a couple weeks ago. He won the Colonial, 3 birdies to lock that up. But what he has struggled with is driving and his long game. Well, Oakmont plays into his advantage. It's actually the short game, putting, and that may set up beautifully for him. And right now, what better way to put the Masters behind him than to win back-to-back U.S. Open championships?
All right, Jay.
Yeah, let Steve go.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'll finish up.
I'm going to go with Jason Day. This guy is currently the #1 player in the world. He's also won 3 of the last 11 starts that he's participated in. And he's beaten Jason Spieth 3 times.
Jordan Spieth,
excuse me. 3 times this year. He's also leading the tournament in strokes. This is a guy that a lot of people underestimate, but he's certainly capable of winning this.
He absolutely is. And I'm going to round out the big three theme. I will go with Rory McIlroy. He is the 2011 U.S. Open Championship. He is the pre-tournament co-favorite along with Jason Day, according to most insiders. The reason I think he can do well in this tournament, as he showed with his win at Congressional in the U.S. Open in 2011, he's fully capable of blowing away any field on any given tournament. His win at Muirfield in Ireland ended a winless streak that was gone for over a year. He's posted 4 top 4 finishes in his past 7 starts, the most recent being he tied for 4th at Memorial, where statistically he had the best putting week of the PGA Tour career, and that was after changing his grip, which is something most golfers will not do. The concern here is he has a propensity for having a bad 9-hole stretch in just about every tournament. And you can't afford to do that at Oakmont, as Sean said. It's a beast of a course. You almost have to play perfect for 4 rounds. And switching putting grips a couple of weeks before a major, most guys wouldn't even attempt it. Here's the thing, though. Rory is actually comfortable with this change. And he went from being in the hundreds in strokes gained through putting. He finished 2nd at Memorial with that. If you couple that with his usual solid ball striking, he's a solid bet at Oakmont, even with those very slick greens.
Well, you guys forgot about Phil Mickelson. I'll take him. Muhammad Ali was one of the greatest boxers of all time. But the mark he left on this country, its culture, and society extended well beyond what he accomplished in the ring. The man born Cassius Marcellus Clay, Jr., passed away on Friday, June 3rd. Steve, how will you remember Muhammad Ali?
There are many things I remember about Muhammad Ali, but I will tell you 2 things that I remember very well. You know, we hear the term trash talking all the time, and we hear, of course, rap music. You have to look at him and kind of say he actually innovated both of those. You hear the famous line, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. You can't hit what you can't see. Now, when you think about that, how many guys who are athletes would ever have said anything close to that before this guy? He really innovated the sport in a lot of ways. He was outspoken, but he was also...
To say the least.
Yeah, to say the least. A trash talker like no tomorrow. But also, when you look at rap music, the way he affected how that started, and now rap music is about as big as anything.
Because he rhymed?
Yeah,
He was the original rap artist in a way?
I would say in many ways he kind of innovated that
Spoken word rap. Let's give him some credit, Sean.
He got it all started. I mean, little did we know many years later that was going to be a big theme, but I would say those are the 2 things I'll always remember him for.
Anthony, let's take your view. What do you take from Ali's life?
Well, first of all, I
stands
give a
out?
shout out to my brother because he's named Cassius Marcellus after Cassius Clay, by the way.
Wow.
That's number 1. But number 2, my earliest memory, and my fondest memory, was him beating George Foreman, the Rumble in the Jungle down in Zaire. I was actually watching the fight prior to.
Yes, we were on your phone.
We actually
Set up
were.
for the show. For those of you out there who don't know, we was watching the fight prior to the show, and it amazed me how the lead up to that fight, everything about it. There was a music festival. It was just the atmosphere. Very pro Ali crowd, by the way.
Yes.
Know the chant Ali Boombaye. No, it means Ali kill him. It was Muhammad Ali dealt us with so much to that crowd, and they were really behind him. But when you watch that fight, Ali did not have the speed he had when he had the title stripped from him. Several years earlier, 1967, then he had to wait 3 years to get Joe Frazier lose, then wait another 4 years. He's at 32, he's slower, doesn't have the speed, but his boxing IQ really showed in that fight. When you see him, the rope-a-dope technique, we see Floyd Mayweather do that in his fights too. He's leaning back, he's allowing Foreman, who was one of the hardest punchers in boxing history,
to overexert himself.
Well away at him. This is the guy who literally made short work of Frazier and Ken Norton in succession, who beat Ali prior to years prior to. And to see Ali just take all the punishment, and we was watching, by the end of that 7th round, Foreman is gassed.
Yes.
He has no idea what else he could possibly do. Because while he's leaning on the ropes, the rope technique, the ropes are taking all the damage. Ali's not doing anything. He's just countering just enough, and he just, the brains and the know-all to just allow somebody to just punch himself into exhaustion says a lot about how Ali
How
evolved.
intelligent he was.
Jay!
You know what, Sean? What I will remember about Ali is how reaction.
Jay, let me ask you, did you ever get to see Ali fight? Do you have any
No,
memories?
I was too young.
Okay.
So what I saw was on film.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to remember how public perception of his stance on Vietnam changed over the years. Now, you remember, in the 60s, the height of racial tension in this country, Ali was more than outspoken about his stance as a conscientious objector of the Vietnam War. It made him anti-American, a pariah. People called him a traitor. And most white America wanted that uppity N-word guy to just shut up and box. And even part of black America wanted him to just shut up and go along to get along. The fact that he was out of boxing for 3 years, stripped of his title, did not stop him from speaking out. And by many in the establishment say he got what he deserved. But that didn't stop him, didn't even change him, even though he lost that. He retook his title not long after he returned to the ring and dominated the sport. He still continued to speak out on issues that he was passionate about. And as the decades changed and societal and cultural attitudes changed, so did the view of what Ali did in the 60s. His radical outspokenness against things he disagreed with came to be viewed not anti-America, but what America is actually all about or should be all about. Those stuck in the 50s way of thinking gave way to subsequent generations who looked at our country and our society and our culture differently, and thus Ali went from, in 50 years' time, he went from being a pariah to an icon, and that transformation is what I will remember.
You know, Steve, have you ever got to see Muhammad Ali? Like Trevor Berbick, Leon Spinks, you remember that?
A little
see,
bit.
in my lifetime, I only knew Muhammad Ali like from the history books, from old black and white videos. My lasting memory of Muhammad Ali is that he was a handicapped man, sadly and unfortunately, and his bravery and fortitude at the 1996 Olympics, trying to hold the torch, the way he was shaking. There was a beauty to that and also a sadness. And that sadness comes because when you watch the old films, he wasn't just a tremendous athlete. He was just this
force of nature.
braggadocious force of nature, life force that was just reduced to a shell for the second half of his life. Music right there means it's time for the 3-minute warning. Anthony, lead off.
With LeBron James back in the finals, it brings my attention the most annoying incident in sports. The Michael Jordan fanboy. Seriously, I am so sick of you Jordan apologists always running to defend his legacy as if Jordan's legacy needs defending. They're the ones to make it seem like Jordan won 6 championships with the Chicago Bulls all by himself. Can we please put this Jordan myth to rest? 3 of those Bulls teams won 65 or more games, including the 95-96 team that won 72 games. Jordan also had Pippen, Rodman, Harper, Kukoc, and Grant, sharpshooters like Paxson, Armstrong, Tucker, and Kerr, yet somehow he carried them all to victory. What about the 93-94 Bulls that won 55 games while Jordan was stinking it up in the minors? I remember when Jordan would try to win all by himself, 3 first-round exits and a 1-9 playoff record. All great players, past and present, need help to win championships, and his illness is no exception. Let's stop acting like he played with a bunch of scrubs and give one of the great supporting cast his due. I didn't even mention the Hall of Fame head coach he played for.
Wow. To the defense of LeBron, my guess is many of you have been watching the NBA Finals as I have, but there's one thing that's really rankled my nerves: the media conversation about how LeBron needs to take over the game. Says who? Aren't the Cavs good enough to win it all so that he's not a nightly scenario? Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Magic Johnson, and even Stephen Curry weren't ever asked to do it. Of course, we know the long-suffering Cavs fans are desperate to savor just one championship. But what if Kyrie Irving, J.R. Smith, and that half-dead bench stepped up to the challenge? Then maybe this insidious, insane chatter would be irrelevant. King James, you've done enough. You need some serious help from your teammates. Well, now it's about damn time you got it.
Yes, sir. The late Muhammad Ali was a radical. He stood up for whatever he believed in, no matter the consequences. He lost 3 prime years of his career from boxing over his refusal to fight in Vietnam. Sadly, this generation's most visible athletes don't seem to have that level of commitment. Seahawks cornerback Richard Sherman is one of the best at his craft and one of the most outspoken players in the NFL. He considers Ali to be one of his heroes. He learned everything about him as a kid and modeled his behavior after Ali's. But Sherman admits that Ali could not exist today, that no athlete would be willing to risk his career or the demonization of the Twitterverse to stand that tall for a righteous cause. I'm sorry, that's a cop-out. There is an epidemic of sexual assaults happening on college campuses across the nation, and athletes, especially football players, seem to be at the forefront of the assaults and the center of the cover-ups, the scandal at Baylor being the latest example. Where's the moral outrage from NFL players about these assaults? Where are the t-shirts with the slogans? Where are the sound bites at the press conferences? Where's the condemnation of the cover-ups? Maybe it starts with the NFL itself setting an example by not allowing victimizers of women to keep victimizing quarterbacks. Yeah, I mean you, Greg Hardy. A united and vocal stance by players and owners alike that this is unconscionable would be a good start. The integrity of the Shield starts with the integrity of all those who make their living from it. To quote Edmund Burke, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing.
Muhammad Ali's greatest victory came from his win at the Supreme Court. Ali refused to answer the call to service into the Army in 1967 when drafted into the Vietnam War. This upset many, especially those who actually lived through World War II, when even great athletes volunteered for service.
Yep.
Ali was brought up on charges, and his claim of being a conscientious objector was defeated. Now, this claim allows citizens to avoid service if they're opposed to all wars. Think the Amish, but not for people who oppose a particular war. Justice William Brennan, who would happily accept the label of activist liberal, fought hard to get the court to even hear the case. But the initial private vote of the judges was actually against Ali, 5-3. It took a clerk of Judge John Harlan, who was assigned to write the decision, to provide Harlan with some literature that convinced the judge that the Nation of Islam, the sect that Ali belonged, was against all wars in the way Ali understood that sect. It also helped that the tide of public opinion had changed from 1967 to 1971 about the war. While many court observers wanted the court to declare the war illegal, which it wasn't willing to do, the court did allow Ali to stand as a proxy for all those Americans and even veterans in that war who opposed that conflict. In terms of social import, this was Ali's greatest win. For Steve Ferguson, Jay Kaplan, and Anthony Strait, I am Sean Roman, and thank you so much for spending part of your evening with us. We hope to see you again on June 23rd for another edition of On the Sports Lines. And remember, if you want to see this show again or catch up on any of those you may have missed, please check us out at youtube.com/onthesportslines. And check out our blog at where?
OnTheSportslines.blogspot.com.
Good night.
Night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.